Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? We'll start hour 2 here with a little bit of breaking news. Latavius Murray is back. Saints have confirmed it on their Twitter account. The Saints have signed Latavius Murray to the practice squad. So, let's kind of put the pieces together here for you of this puzzle. We did learn also Mu's corresponding move.
Saints released Dejon Dixon from the practice squad.
Okay, so Saints have released Dejon Dixon to sign Latavius Murray. Of course, you have a roster limit, so if you add a player, you have to subtract a player. So in adding Latavius Murray, they subtract Dejon Dixon. So, okay, let's kind of piece this together a little bit for you. On Sunday, Alvin Kamara left the field in the fourth quarter, went to the locker room. On Monday, this was Kat Terrell asking Dennis Allen about Kamara leaving the field on Sunday.
Dennis, is Kamara still in any sort of injury since he left?
Yeah, he had a little bit of a rib, but I think he's going to be fine.
A little bit of a rib. I love ribs. Ribs. I had ribs for lunch. That's why I'm doing this. He had a rib. Kamara did. So, it's also interesting because Sean Payton was never really forthcoming with injuries at all, and Dennis Allen's at least giving you a little bit of a tidbit. If you were here at the start of the show, we basically talked about Kamara, only to an hour later now have found that Latavius Murray is back with the Saints, so it answers one of the questions. So Kamara injured. Remember, Dwayne Washington did not play last week. He was out with a hamstring injury. So on Sunday, you were down to Kamara and Mark Ingram. And remember, you've got Tony Jones Jr. as well still there. The Saints signed Abram Smith to the practice squad. Well, Field Yates reported that with Elijah Mitchell on IR, the Niners brought in a bunch of running backs for workouts. Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Nate McCrary, Abram Smith, LaMichael Piron, others. Ultimately, they signed Marlon Mack. So Abram Smith is still on the Saints practice squad. So you've got Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, Dwayne Washington, Tony Jones Jr., and then Abram Smith on the practice squad. However, Dwayne Washington was unavailable last week, and now Kamara's got this rib injury. So deductive reasoning would lead you to believe that there's something more going on with Kamara. You wouldn't add a starting caliber, a Sunday caliber player without another Sunday caliber player being gone. This isn't plucking a developmental guy to stash on your practice squad to build up. This is a guy who you say, okay, we know him, he knows us, he knows our offense, he knows the personnel, we're familiar with all of this. It's a very natural, easy fit bringing Latavius Murray back into the fold. Now, with Murray in particular, of course, he was in New Orleans in 2019 and 2020. They did not re-sign him in 2021. He played a season ago with Baltimore, played in 14 games, started 6 times, ran 119 times for 501 yards, averaged over 4 yards a carry, which he's done pretty consistently. Even in his years in New Orleans, he averaged 4.5 yards a carry, 4.4 and 4.5 in 2019 and 20 respectively. So he's basically, even as he's gotten up in age and to 30 years old, he's 32 right now, and we all know typically with a 30-year-old running back, the production falls off the shelf. With Murray, he has been able to stay healthy. He played in 14 games a year ago with 6 starts, played in 15 games his last year in New Orleans, played in all 16 games in 2019. I mean, he's been a durable back. Like, that much is undeniable with Latavius Murray. And the yards per carry average has held steady. His best year was his rookie year at 5.2, but then it's 4, 3.9, 4.1, 4.4, 4.5, last year 4.2. So he's been consistent. He's not explosive, he's not dynamic, but he has been consistent at 32 years old, and so you know the player and he fits. The bigger concern here is with Alvin Kamara, because what this signifies is you're not sure Kamara is going to be good to go for Sunday. So it makes sense. If you're not sure, you bring in Latavius Murray now, so that way you've got him for the week. He can sort of reacclimate to the offense, get to know his teammates, whatever. And if it comes to it on Sunday and you got to activate him or sign him from the practice squad to the active roster, you do it. So I get why you do it now. And this answers the question. Look, we spent so much time this offseason talking about the running back spot because the thought was Kamara is going to be suspended. After the fight in Vegas, our thought all along has been you're probably going to see a 6-game suspension for Alvin Kamara. So how do you handle the running back room? Plus, I've told you I'm not bullish on Mark Ingram. Now, Ingram ran hard on Sunday. He had only 4 carries, but he ran for over 20 yards, and he ran hard. I'm good with that. As a guy that's going to block for you, give you 4 carries, and just spell Alvin Kamara, fine. But if you're trying to count on Mark Ingram, I have a problem with that. That's why I hated the 2-point conversion call. I don't mind calling a single wing play, but do it with Taysom Hill, not Mark Ingram in that situation. But now, if again, the whole thing this offseason was if you're going to miss Kamara for 6 games, you can't go in there with Mark Ingram and Abram Smith or Tony Jones, Dwayne Washington. You've got to have another Sunday caliber back. Dwayne Washington's a good player, but he's primarily a special teams guy. Tony Jones Jr. was great last year in the preseason, but we saw him in the regular season. We got an opportunity. He wasn't good. So that's why they ultimately made the trade to bring Mark Ingram back from Houston, because Tony Jones wasn't ready to fill that role. So I get why you're bringing him back right now. The concern is, what does this mean for Kamara? Because if Kamara's not there, then that's a huge issue. Now, I did run through this a bit ago, but again, if you missed it, Kamara in the last 2 years has played in 3 of the 4 regular season games against Tampa. He missed last year's 9-0 game. But he played in the other 3, which were all, of course, all Saints wins. The Saints haven't lost to Brady and the Bucs in the regular season. Oddly, his most productive game was the postseason game in the divisional round when they lost in the Dome in 2020. He had 18 rushes for 85 yards, 3 receptions for 20, and they lost 30-20. Now, in the COVID year, that week 1 game, the 34-23 game, the first great game of the Brady era that was in the Dome, and they picked 6 Brady at the end. He had both a rushing and receiving touchdown. In week 9, he had 9 carries for 40 yards, 5 receptions for 9, but that was the 38-3 whitewashing. And then last year, he played in that Halloween game when they won 36-27, the game where Jameis was hurt, and ran 19 times for 61 yards and a score of 3 catches for 15 yards. So Kamara has been productive against Tampa, but oddly, his most productive game was the game that they lost in the postseason. You always want Alvin Kamara on the field. Don't misunderstand me. Look at what happened with the Saints offense when you played Tampa. You didn't have Kamara. You scored 9 points in the one game that you didn't have him. I'm not saying that's completely a result of Kamara being on the field. I look at the quarterback situation. That's another gigantic problem with what happened last year and all of the injuries. Of course, you'd rather Alvin Kamara. The big question is, can the combination or some combination of Mark Ingram and Latavius Murray carry the load for you on Sunday if you have to? And I'm leery of it, but for a 1-game sample in the Dome, especially when the Saints defense has been so good against Tampa, I'm a little more at ease. I will say that this all is still very, very presumptive. I'm just very, Kayla, it's 4:11 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday. You get 4 days to the game, or 5 days to the game. So you have time to find out what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara. Re-adding Latavius Murray feels like it's a precautionary measure, like this is your safety net in case Kamara is not able to go on Sunday. You've got him back in the fold to get reacclimated and everything. Great. But let's hope that by the time you get to Sunday, Kamara is healthy enough and ready to go. But this would certainly indicate that Kamara leaving the field, having the rib injury, it's enough of a cause of concern that they went and added a veteran running back who knows them and they know him very well. But to have 2 running backs on the field on Sunday, both over 30 years old, would be concerning, especially against that team in Tampa coming in. We will keep you posted all throughout the week as we learn more. But the news, if you're just joining us, the New Orleans Saints have re-signed Latavius Murray.
Present.
Adding him to the practice squad. They've released Dijon Dixon, so that's the corresponding move. We'll see how it plays out throughout the course of this week. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.